Adding points to the three kingdoms. I can seize the entry of others. Introduction. www.zhaozhuiyuan.com. Men are considered murderers, killing without mercy. Eternal cause, all in killing. A soul from later generations came to the end of the Eastern Han dynasty, adding a bundle of firewood to the afterglow of this empire. Chu Zhan, a collateral descendant of a wealthy clan in a border county, raised his whip and was driven by countless heroes. His gaze was on the Liang https://www.zhaoshuan.com. Chapter 1. Chu Exhibition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. In April of the second year of Guanghe, the former famous Lieutenant Duan Yong in Liangzhou died in prison. Throughout Liangzhou, everyone celebrates together. Outside a fortress of the Chu family in Jincheng, cattle and sheep are everywhere. The temperature is about to warm up, but the wind in Liangzhou is very noisy, howling freely in the wilderness. Several young shepherds galloped on horseback, showcasing their extraordinary riding skills. Standing quietly on the fortress was a young man, whose majestic figure could not be concealed by the fluff on his lips. At the age of 16 or 17, he was over 7 feet old, with a tiger's back and a bear's waist, making him a handsome man. Big brother. Big brother. Chu Zhan turned around and looked at his younger brother Chu Feng, who was dancing with his hands and feet below. As you expected, Duan Jing died shortly after being imprisoned. Well, it seems that it won't be long before the old members of the clan agree for me to open up a fortress to the north. Why is this? Rubbing his younger brother's head, Chu Zhan smiled. Of course, it's because the unrest of the Chang people is coming soon. Of course, there is another reason that has not been explained, which is that he has been causing trouble for his liver for a long time, gradually becoming the representative of the new generation of the family, and the limelight once overshadowed the legitimate son of the Chu family. How can this be done? It must be polished well. Polishing. Grind your butt. Old folks, your good times are coming to an end. In times of chaos, come quickly. Eyes flickered slightly, and a few lines of illusory text appeared before my eyes. Host. Chu Zhan, 3rd rank general, attributes. Strength 67, physical fitness 65 plus 5, spirit 69, agility 66, assignable attribute points. 0, number of wearable entries. 1, current entry worn. Iron bone, constitution plus 5, current achievement progress. Profit by successfully predicts upcoming major events and spreads them to at least 100 people, February 3rd, climbing for Yi Bai, making your enemies surrender, January 3rd, 10 people / green, killing count *10, April 10th, copying public works, green, plagiarism of other people's poems and masterpieces *10, 1 out of 10, as a traveler, carrying a system with you is just too reasonable. Since his appointment with Natush 3 years ago, he has gradually familiarized himself with the operating mechanism of the system in the late Eastern Han dynasty. Except for occasional system tasks that receive rewards. Completing certain tasks will trigger the hidden achievement system within the system, and completing achievements will earn attribute points. And the entry must be captured from the opponent he defeated, but not every opponent has an entry. So far, he has only obtained 2 basic entries. Iron bone and bulge. As for increasing the number of entries carried, there is currently no clue. After confirming that the news of Duan Taiwei's body falling had come true, he now only needs 1 achievement to complete the profit and can obtain new attribute points. Unfortunately, with his meager historical reserves, only the famous Yellow Turban Uprising and Chang Rebellion of 184 can be imagined. Hey, there are still 5 years left. We can't release the news too early. As soon as I thought about my easily obtainable attribute being hindered by time, Chu Zhan became uninterested for a while. Let's go, the scenery is beautiful today. Go hunt some meat to eat. Summoning friends and calling out to a group of idle wanderers, Chu Zhan planned to have a thrilling hunt to relax. Riding on a galloping horse, galloping at lightning speed, bowing and drawing arrows, there is no gold to drink feathers. Okay, in fact, Chu Zhan's archery skills are far from reaching this level. Although his body, which is not yet 18 years old, has exceeded the system's certified average of 60, it is all thanks to the system. In fact, 3 years ago, Chu Zhan and Chu Feng, who had no father or mother, completely relied on the support of their family and could only be said to be struggling to make ends meet. With the reputation of the Chu family, Chu Zhan caused trouble everywhere and achieved some white accomplishments. It was only then that Chu Zhan's strength slowly stood out from the group of young people. In this era where the vast majority of people struggle to meet their basic needs, their attributes hover around 50 and can reach a level of 60, making them formidable soldiers in the military. Nowadays, he has gained a reputation and can be considered a somewhat famous expert in the Jincheng area. Whoosh! A running rabbit was launched, but Chu Zhan did not immediately go to retrieve his own prey. In the line of sight, several unfamiliar Chang people were standing on horses, watching closely from a distance. Although the emergence of the Chang people has been anticipated for a long time, in reality, the Chang people near the Chu family usually only have the Xiaodang tribe. This Chang people were once glorious decades ago, and it is said to be a large tribe controlling tens of thousands of people. Nowadays, it is only a small settlement of about 100 people, and the well water does not flow into the river on weekdays, seemingly peaceful. But Duan Taiwei, who was engaged in genocide, has just disappeared. I'm afraid that before his soul has reported to the Mount Taishan mansion, the group of people's horses will fly to the hunting ground where the Chu family often goes. Everyone immediately became alert. Don't panic, there are only 7 Chang people. Although he comforted everyone with his mouth, Chu Zhan had no confidence in his heart. He thought to himself that he was not weak, but none of the people next to him had seen blood. During the Western Han dynasty, under the great reputation of the empire, the Han people still had the reputation of one Han being the 5 Hu. However, for hundreds of years, the leakage of iron smelting and forging technology has gradually narrowed the gap between the barbarian generation and the military technology of the Han dynasty. The past glory has decayed along with the empire. Not long after, with the chaos of the 3 kingdoms and the decrease in population, the tragedy of the 5 barbarians will unfold in this land. Zhaozuiyuan.com At this time, even if the Han people still have the advantage of military armor, it is also the advantage of professional martial artists, not Chu Zhan and his group of wandering warriors. Watching several young men who used to be arrogant and domineering, Chu Zhan felt somewhat restrained. He pretended to be relaxed and casually raised his whip. What? Have you never killed anyone before? It's no different from slaughtering sheep. Ha, I believe what you say, brother Zhan. I'm afraid they won't dare to come. It's extremely extreme. Sure enough, no matter what era, the most important thing for young people is face. Just a little provocation can make them feel motivated. Chu Zhan picked up a few short spears from Chu Feng's hand and deliberately walked past the crowd, sneering. They came over early if they really wanted to take action, but unfortunately I couldn't shoot accurately and couldn't even remove the great head. As soon as the words fell, the Chang people seemed to notice the reality of these young people and rushed towards them without saying a word, forming a faint encirclement. Grass was slapped in the face as soon as he finished speaking, leaving no one with a good expression. Chu Zhan immediately replaced the iron bone in the system and installed the bulge formation, agility +5 when charging, watching the few people rushing in, calmly opened the system to take a look at their attributes. Cut, it's really stinky fish and rotten shrimp. The person with the highest attribute only has 2 items above 60. There is none of the entry characteristics. He has exploded in the Golden City with such attributes, which is quite unknown. However, now that he is in a life and death battle, he needs to be extremely careful. Lower your back and follow me forward. The words hit the ground, and Chu Zhan had already taken the lead and rushed out to face the enemy. The two sides were too close, the horses were too fast, and there was no time to draw their bows and arrows. They had already met face to face. Ah! With a scream, the other person rolled off the horse's back. Chapter 2. Wolf Order. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, only one confrontation, one person is immediately reduced. 10 people / green killing count *10, 5/10, but that's it. Friends who often kill know that killing can be harmful. The sharp tip of the spear pierced through the skin armor, cutting through the flesh and bones, splattering blood, greatly boosting Chu Zhan's spirit. A certain desire buried deep in his bones seemed to be awakened from within his genes. Slow down, unable to wait for everyone to marvel, Chu Zhan turned around and continued to chase away. Although he is superior, he still has reason. As a pillar of the Chu family's popularity in recent years, his martial arts skills are not for nothing. The horse under the crotch may not be considered a divine steed, but it is 2 points faster than an ordinary horse. Hidden behind the horse's back, accelerating continuously, the whole person was completely lying down. Taking advantage of the gap when the Chang people slowed down and turned their heads, they pulled the horse to the side and threw a spear out of thin air. The strong inertia drove the short spear, roaring past and nailing another person from the horse to the ground. 10 people / green killing count *10, 6/10, okay. Chu Feng looked at his brave elder brother and cheered hard. The Chang people suddenly felt a chill. I have never seen anyone who can fight, and I have also seen someone who has good equestrian skills. However, I am also able to fight, and I am young. My equestrian skills are even faintly superior to those of the Chang people. I have never seen anyone who can fight. Looking at the group of Chang people, Chu Zhan hesitated a bit, and was even more talkative. Stay low, charge. Take action, no one. During a meal, the Chang people dispersed in all directions. One person, one horse, managed to defeat a team of 7. 10 people / green killing count *10, October 10th, green achievements, achieved. 2 attribute points, received. Chu Zhan silently added 2 new points to the column of power. Host. Chu Zhan, 3rd rank general, attributes. Strength 69, Constitution 65 + 5, Spirit 69, Agility 66, without saying a word, he collected his spoils of war, damaged leather armor, and unowned war horses, all of which were in high demand in Liangzhou. At present, he is going north to garrison the fortress, and there will be inevitable friction with the Chang people. These things are his lifeline. Big brother, look at this. Chu Feng handed over an object made of metal, with half a wolf's head. Is this a wolf order? It is said that the Chang people established an empire called the Xianling dynasty, casting hundreds of wolf orders to select the warriors of the entire Chang ethnic group. They were resolute and unstoppable. Unfortunately, the Xianling dynasty only lasted for more than 10 years before being annihilated by the Han army. Although the Xianling Chang maintained the size of a large tribe, they had lost their absolute leadership. As a result, the wolf order gradually spread throughout Liangzhou, and times have changed. Nowadays, the wolf order has become a symbol of status. Only those who are brave and fierce enough can obtain a wolf order that has been passed down in their own tribe. Regardless of whether Han or Chang people receive the wolf order, they will receive surface treatment within the Chang people's sphere of influence. It seems that the previous rumors were not unfounded. A year ago, anyone who was well informed in Liangzhou heard that the current leader of the Xianling Chang tribe intended to rebuild an alliance, attempting to unite all Chang people and Liangzhou people, and for the first time, proposed that Liangzhou was the Liangzhou of the Liang people. This is undoubtedly a great rebellion against the Han dynasty, but for the people of Liang, it is too normal. The attitude at the Han dynasty often gave up on Liangzhou, and the experience of excessive regional discrimination against the people of Liang have already created an unbreakable crack. The intention of the leader of the Xianling Chang tribe was simply to suppress it due to the pressure of Duanyong. Now that the era of Sanming in Liangzhou has come to an end, not immediately raising troops to rebel is already a respect for the Han Empire. Not long ago, the Xianling Chang people even announced that anyone holding a wolf order can participate in the Chang people's martial arts competition. This method of recruiting warriors through military force is really suitable in Liangzhou. Han people hold their own identities, and even if there are brave warriors holding wolf orders, they often disdain to associate with the Chang people, still immersed in the great Han power of the Heavenly Kingdom. And Chu Zhan is obviously not affected by the dross of racial discrimination. Do things in a low-key manner, but be famous early, especially during the Han dynasty. In order to gain fame, no one was allowed to show off. This martial arts competition is a good opportunity to make a name for oneself. At this moment, the sound of the system in my ear came slowly, and familiar words appeared before me. There is no first place in literature and no second place in martial arts. To make a name for oneself is in this day. Task release. Weizhen Liangzhou, winning the championship of the martial arts competition. Attribute points *5. 5 attribute points may not seem to be given much, but with his understanding of the system, he may be able to trigger a few more white achievements, and the actual benefits will definitely be more than these. Reputation, strength. Chu Zhan suddenly felt that he was very vulgar. The prosperity of the world is all for profit, and the bustling of the world is all for profit. Even though he has been a person for 2 generations, he still cannot see through this fame and fortune. If you can't see through it, then you can't see through it. Turning over and riding the horse, watching the wealth you gained after killing someone, a strong desire to conquer surged from Chu Zhan's heart. He remembered an interesting story he had heard in his past life. The Fu Hrer enjoyed playing with the globe since he was young, so he launched World War II as he grew up. Audi, go back and ask the clan leader for a map, and find a guide. In a few days, I will go to Beatty County. Jumping horses and raising whips, spring light towards me, competing for the military crown. The situation is inevitable. In the Chu family of Jincheng, Chu Sheng is holding up a stone lock and showing off his power. He is the legitimate son of the Chu family and a natural leader. He is a future great figure in Liangzhou, and his name is destined to be written in history. In earlier years, there was a person named Chu Yi in Shiping who was not satisfied with him. Now, I heard it's ridiculous to be wandering in the army. Who goes to eat military pay for a serious person? What can the court give you? Some things are predetermined from birth. Look at the big shots in Liangzhou now. Han Sui, Bian Zhang is considered a descendant of a noble family. Isn't he also unable to enter Chang'an Luoyang? What's wrong with using it honestly for me? Do we have to make a big noise so that our clan can use you? Throwing down the stone lock and looking at the respectful eyes of those around him, a figure popped out of his mind again. Damn it, there has been another Chu exhibition in recent years, which is even more outrageous than Chu Yi. I dare not give him face in my daily life. I really don't know the status. When the matter with the Chang people is over, I will crush him sooner or later. Is there any news about yeast growth? Pretending to be casual, he asked the servants around him, drew out the precious sword specially crafted for him by his clan, and began to review it. The servant saw that he was very interested and satisfied with the precious sword. So he said, I heard he killed several Chang people yesterday and also received a wolf token. Bang! The precious sword that had just been cherished was directly inserted into the wooden stake. I have some skills, but why didn't I bring the wolf token over? I heard that the martial arts competition is about to start, maybe I want to go and see it. I heard that he wants to participate in the martial arts competition. Bold. Who does he think he is? He doesn't even have a family in his eyes. It's completely lawless. I can't want this kind of thing, how dare he not give it? Doesn't he want to climb a high branch? Anger immediately surged into Chu Xing's heart. Chu Zhan, why didn't you die in the hands of the Chang people? You always jump around like this. Do you still want to lead the Chu family? Chapter 3. Dong Zhuo and Yan Xing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Chu Zhan doesn't care about Chu Xing's ideas. A four-dimensional commodity that barely crosses the line, even if it seems to have family support at present, cannot become anything grand. At least, in his historical knowledge reserve, he has never heard of this name. Now he is listening in on the latest news that has been inquired about. It is said that Yan Xing, a warrior from the Yan family in Jincheng, Niu Fu from the Niu family in Didao, as well as Huaxiong and Yang Ding, will all participate in this martial arts competition. Strange, very strange. Did something happen? Why did all the famous experts from Liangzhou go this time? Chu Feng glanced at his elder brother without looking askance and continued calmly, I heard that Duke Dong is going to marry a daughter. Who? In Liangzhou, at least at this time, the only person who could be called the Duke of Dong was the fierce man who dared to depose the emperor and set fire to Luoyang in the future. Dong Zhuo, an idol of countless young men in the Han dynasty, has gone from being an ordinary, good family son to becoming the current governor of Hedong and the governor of Bingzhou, which is truly legendary. It is said that during his youth, he was able to bow from left to right on horseback, making him a rare warrior. He was also known for his chivalry and righteousness, and was highly respected by both Chang and Han people. He even created a legendary story of Chang leaders returning 1,000 cows and sheep. Chu Zhan never expected that he would hear this name in such a way that he didn't want to mention. Admittedly, the future man dug a tomb for the Han Empire. His shadow once required the entire Kanto coalition to fight together, and his adopted son Lv Bu was active on the internet thousands of years later. However, it cannot be denied that in the current Liangzhou, Dong Zhuo's appeal among the younger generation can only be described as terrifying. Being able to be his son-in-law is not only a shortcut to pursuing his dream idol, but also an opportunity to climb to the sky step by step. No wonder so. Everyone wants to make a name for themselves, right? Chu Zhan was very helpless. In fact, he did not expect to become Dong Zhuo's son-in-law. This man who debuted as a martial artist is far more rugged than he appears on the surface. In history, he maintained a close relationship with the Yuan family of the fourth generation and 3 nobles through his soldiers in his hands, acting as an outsider. However, in less than a year, he met the tyranny of the court and became the most powerful person in the world. He then revealed his brutal methods and ultimately led to his own downfall. This is a cruel and cunning political speculator, but at this point, no one will believe his words. If it weren't for the tempting rewards from the system, Chu Zhan would even want to back down. After glancing at his younger brother's hesitant words, Chu Zhan joked, Why, do you want to marry Dong Gong's daughter? How could an older brother get married without a wife? Looking at Chu Feng's flushed face, Chu Zhan laughed heartily. Nyang Shipi, even my younger brother, who is less than 15 years old, wants to eat Dong Zhuo's soft food. This martial arts competition seems to be going up in difficulty. Hide your thoughts from the bottom of your heart, Chu Zhan needs to start preparing herself. First, let's take the achievements of Wen Chao Gong. Having more attributes is an advantage. In just a few days, several famous poems circulated on the streets of Jincheng, among which the Imperial Edict song was widely praised. Under the Gaolan River, the sky is like a dome covering the 4 fields. The sky is vast and the wilderness is vast. The wind blows and the grass is low, revealing cows and sheep, and the initiator, Chu Zhan, who was seen by many as almost illiterate, had already embarked on the journey to Beatty County with 3 or 5 followers. Number of plagiarized poems and famous works by others *100, 0/100, 100. Unfortunately, I cannot complete the subsequent work of Huaxiong Gong myself. Who can a serious person remember so many chapters? The 2 additional attribute points are currently retained in the system. Before the autumn wind moved, cicadas had a premonition, and the decline of an empire had a more obvious experience on the border. Border soldiers, skilled in swords and horses, regardless of the Chang or Han ethnic groups, move in a hurry. Looking at the emblem of the Xianling Chang tribe in front of him, Chu Zhan handed over a wolf order, indicating his identity. In the campsite preparing for the martial arts competition, young talents from various counties in Liangzhou have gathered one after another. As expected, even among the Han people in this area at this time, there is not a single descendant of a noble family, all of them are wealthy young gentlemen from various regions. Looking around, there is a bustle of people, with excellent equipment, and very few individuals with attributes lower than the average. There are even multiple hidden entries hidden among pedestrians. One of the Han army knights dressed up immediately caught the attention of Chu Zhan. This person is Yan Xing, who is known as the number 1 warrior in Jincheng. Name: Yan Xing, 2nd class martial general. Attributes: Strength 77 plus 5, Constitution 78 plus 10, Spirit 73, Agility 77, Strong Strike, Strength plus 5, Doucher, deal with different scenes, increase corresponding attributes by 10 points, What? Great data, and with 2 entries, is this the warrior who claims to be the number 1 in Jincheng? Accustomed to the Fish Pond Bureau, where the average person is usually around 50, now encountering the real famous figures in Jincheng in the past, Chu Zhan was indeed shocked. Yan Xing did not have any special books in his history, and he was not active in the romance of the 3 kingdoms through military strategy, so he did not have any special fame in later generations. In history, it seems that Han Sui forced him to marry the other party's daughter, and there have been records of violently beating young Ma Chao. Nowadays, both from Jincheng, Chu Zhan is still playing the role of a ranger, and Yan Xing is already a guard in the county army. We used to not see each other in the past, but we thought they were almost the same. Now we realize the difference between the 2 sides. Zhaozuiyuan.com. This task is somewhat challenging. Looking around, Yan Xing is far ahead in terms of data. How can he still win the championship? Indeed, we cannot underestimate the people of the world. Just leaving a trace in history, this person's attributes are so luxurious. Judging from his current panel, there is simply no chance of winning. But giving up on this is not Chu Zhan's personality. Retreat when encountering difficulties. It's not worth giving you a chance. I need to think about whether it can trigger some achievements and quickly refresh some attributes. Yan Xing opened his tent and slowly walked in. The remaining ashes in the brazier were swept up by the anxious breeze and dissipated on the ground. Several figures immediately gathered around and asked in a low voice. Brother Yanming, what's the situation? When will we start? Yan Xing calmly cut a piece of meat from the lamb leg and carefully watched the few people. Qing Gongying has arrived, and a young man from the Chu family has also arrived. Wait a bit longer, it's too dangerous for just a few of us. Stay focused and wait for the opportunity. After holding back a few people, Yan Xing silently enjoyed the barbecue. He was originally a cautious person, and this time, he was plotting to assassinate the leader of the Xianling Chang tribe in accordance with the old affairs of the Ban Chao. He was only acting under orders and could not do anything. Escaping was the only principle. Liangzhou is not the western regions, and the Chang people outside the tent are not just decorations. But the few people in front of him had already been blinded by the overwhelming reputation. If it weren't for him being able to hold back, there might have been trouble already. It's better to deal with a group of people like this as soon as possible to avoid getting involved in someone else's territory. Recalling the Chu family boy who had just gazed at him, a thought surged out. How is the young tiger of the Chu family better than Qin Wuyang? I wonder if it can also devour people. Chapter 4. Dao Niu Shi. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 5. Initial Chaos. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, thunder on the flat ground. The routine martial arts competition of the Chang people in the past is extraordinary. In previous years, it only radiated within 1 or 2 counties. Now, with the news of Dong Zhuo's marriage, countless hands are behind the scenes, not only causing a sensation in Liangzhou, but also subtly affecting Bingzhou and Xizhou. And early this morning, with the thriving, young tiger, of the Chu family, in front of everyone's eyes, publicly issued a challenge to a young general of the Dao Niu family. The atmosphere that had been absent from the camp a few days ago seemed to have ignited the enthusiasm of the northern heroes. For a moment, all the skilled players who could be said to be on the field appeared one after another, watching with great interest the 2 people, one big and one small, on the field. The older ones in the venue. Red lips, white teeth, and handsome eyes, with a slender waist and broad arms resembling the shape of an ape. A pair of cattail fans cover the sky's hands, and 200 refining silver frost spears. And the other, at best, was just a child of 7 or 8 years old, actually holding a ripe copper stick and dragging it on the ground without any effort. Chu Zhan looked at the general of Chao Wei from the front, different from the one he had previously peeked at with his system. Only by facing him directly could he discover his hidden calmness. As the saying goes, 3 years old is the age, and ordinary children should not only talk about their skills, but also their temperament. How can they compare with him? It is truly terrifying. Niu Jin also looked at this Chu family young tiger. As a wealthy member of the Liangzhou clan, he was naturally familiar with the heroic warriors with names and surnames. Although the person in front of him had a notorious reputation and many murders, he seemed to have little hostility towards him, even though the relationship between the Niu and Chu families was not very harmonious. Although it was the first time we met, it couldn't be said that we had a bad feeling, but seeing such a majestic and muscular person, Niu Jin, a child, also felt a lot of envy in his heart. I don't know if it's an illusion, but Niu Jin always felt that the big brother across from him had some inexplicable red light in his eyes. However, since his eldest brother Niu Fu has already accepted this strange competition, as the innate martial arts holy body of the Niu family, he will not be afraid of the opposite side. A solemn salute to the other party and a banging sound ignited the atmosphere of the martial arts competition and changed the situation in Liangzhou for the next few years. Looking at the serious Niu Jin on the field, Hu Zhen smiled in her heart. The children of the Niu family perform quite well. Everyone from the upper echelons of Liangzhou knows that this martial arts competition is a predetermined task, and the Niu family's assistant is a stable member of the fishing platform. Not only do many Liangzhou heroes want to give their reputation to the Niu family, but even the Chu family, who have always been unruly, send people and even give children Niu Jin. Just because your Chu family is doing this, I'm afraid Dong Gong's plan doesn't include you at all. Dong Bingzhou, commanding Xionghu, merging Qianhu, entering the court, showcasing my cool demeanor, this is a strategy that has already been decided. Do you want to stand in line now? It's ridiculous. In the eyes of everyone, this competition should be one-sided. In Hu Zhen's view, it should be the victory of the Niu family. Even in Liangzhou, which places greater emphasis on military strength, the exchange of interests behind it is a common occurrence. With the suicide of Duan Rong and the retirement of Zhang Huan, the court must rely on a powerful figure who can intimidate Liangzhou to ensure the stability of the dynasty's borders and the safety of Xizhou. This is a clear card placed in imperial politics, and the heavy responsibility of protecting the capital naturally falls on the current Dongzhuo. There is no second person to take over. This is the opportunity for Liang people to regain the voice of the court, and it is the unprecedented great unity of Liang people. Whoever dares to undermine this central to local tacit agreement at this time will inevitably face hostility from the entire Liangzhou group, which is an irreversible trend. As the Lord of Liangzhou, Huaxiong naturally deeply understood the samadhi within it. Therefore, in his eyes, this politically significant martial arts competition was a trade after the fame and fortune arena. It's just that the person involved, Chu Zhan, won't pay attention to too many twists and turns. Ren Er's schemes, I will break them all on my own. No matter how floods flood him, only the entries he has are true. Give it a full blow. With a combination of guns and sticks, in the face of a power difference of up to 9 points, the young Niujin retreated step by step, feeling lost for the first time in his life. Since showing off his strength from a young age, he has had few opponents in his family, even big brother Niufu can handle several rounds on his own. At one point, he thought he could become a peerless warrior like Xiang Wang in the future. Unexpectedly, he left the circle of the Niu family. However, the famous person in Jincheng brought him tremendous pressure. It's just a false increase in my age, and it's not without any fighting ability. Slightly shaking his head, Niu Jin clenched the copper stick again, subconsciously thinking that the opponent would stand still again, just like in previous family competitions. The next second, the dazzling tip of the gun stood quietly before his eyes. He lost, and it seems like he has lost something important. You are really a despicable adult, not good at martial arts. The young ox is full of frustration. Bullying a child is not a skill. Chu Zhan looked at the brand new Roi entry in the system, and before he could be happy, he heard disharmonious voices coming from the crowd. Looking back, a black man flashed out of the crowd. Let Hua meet with you for a while. Chu Zhan fixed his gaze on it. Name: Huaxiong, second-class martial general, attributes. Strength 76 plus 5, Constitution 73 plus 5, Spirit 74 plus 5, Agility 76 plus 5, Madman. When facing enemies, the lowest attribute is higher than the opponent's highest attribute, all attributes plus 5, otherwise 0.5, boy, isn't this the famous stepping stone of second master? The group of heroes who fought in front of Hulao Pass tied their hands, which made Yuan Benchu, the fourth generation and third duke, lament that his general was not here. It also made Yuan Gongdao break through the defense and shout to fork out the second lord. At this time, he should be serving under Dong Zhuo's command, and in a few years, he will follow the entire Western Liang army to appear. Why do you, a person with thick eyebrows and big eyes, also want to marry the daughter of the leader? Dare to sneak into the martial arts competition. However, this idea flashed by, and Chu Zhan saw two historical figures from the crowd behind Huaxiong, one on the left and the other on the right, hiding in the crowd, like a behind-the-scenes manipulator, firmly watching Chu Zhan. Name: Li Gui, second-rate general, attributes. Strength 79, Constitution 77, Spirit 81 plus 6, Agility 79, Wolf Hunt. Based on the size of your faction, find the book Garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com to obtain 5.10 spiritual attribute bonuses. Name: Guosi, second-class general, attributes. Strength 77, Constitution 79, Spirit 82, Agility 79 plus 10, Thief's Dilemma, Agility plus 10, Li Gui Guosi, in the romance, was a famous second general under Dong Zhuo's command, and in history, he was also a sole figure in Dong Zhuo's army. Their military abilities were fully recognized by the attendant Lu Ai at that time, and they even defeated Zhu Gui, with outstanding military achievements. If these two people were able to appear here, it would definitely not be their personal will, they must have been inspired by Dong Zhuo. Chu Zhan suddenly realized that this ordinary martial arts competition was full of twists and turns. But what does this have to do with me being a hitchhiker? A lot of good things just popped up in the system. World of Great Debate, Gene, starting to change the direction of history, January 1st, Golden Achievement. Number of entries +1. Feng Yun Ji Hui by defeating historical figures, 1/3, just sprinkle water on this white one. I scan my own panel again. Host: Chu Zhan, second-rate martial general, attributes. Strength 69, Constitution 65 plus 5 plus 10, Spirit 69, Agility 66, assignable attribute points. 2. Number of wearable entries. 2. Current entry. Iron Bone, Constitution plus 5, Destroying Sharpness, Constitution plus 10 when in trouble, simply add a little strength, a little agility, and hang the newly captured entry. So, Huaxiong, General Hua, how will you deal with it again next? Chapter 6. Defeating Huaxiong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, simply add a dot and load a brand new entry. The physical fitness column reached 80 points, completely crushing Huaxiong's attributes, and the madman instantly became a negative skill. No wonder in the romance, Huaxiong killed the young generals of various feudal lords in a flash while chopping melons and vegetables at Sisui Pass. With this entry, he didn't just stop cooking when he met the second prince. Name. Huaxiong 3rd rank martial general, attributes. Strength 76.5, Constitution 73.5, Spirit 74.5, Agility 76.5. Looking at the panel of the current Huaxiong, Chu Zhan almost burst out laughing. Looking at Huaxiong who had already walked in front of him, this was an entry and achievement delivered to his door. Anyway, he is also a historical figure, although in history he was just an unknown captain of Dong Zhuo's army. Since you are so anxious, there is no need to be polite. With a complete burst of physical pressure, Chu Zhan is full of confidence and can easily exhaust Huaxiong to death. With great calmness in his heart, he opened his mouth and said, "Where did the black servant come from? He's barking like a dog here." Huaxiong was indeed angry, boasting his exceptional martial arts skills and not wielding a weapon. He rushed forward empty-handed. Hu Zhen opened her mouth wide and looked in surprise at the result of Niu Jin's defeat in the field. How dare he? Does the Chu family ignore everything? Do we have to break ties with Duke Dong at this time, or do we have other means of support? In an instant, Huaxiong emerged from the crowd again. As a member of Dong Zhuo's army that had been tied up early on, Huaxiong naturally recognized him. He was a fierce warrior and a general of tigers and wolves. He had encountered Huaxiong's divine power multiple times in the school field, and more than 10 soldiers had difficulty entering him. Although Huaxiong may not be considered the top player in the entire group, it is certainly not a problem to deal with a mere ranger. Chu family's kid, there are mountains outside the mountains, and there are people outside the people. Whether or not you are instructed by the Chu family, but if you want to destroy this shameless event, you are not qualified. With a sneer in her heart, Hu Zhen watched eagerly as Huaxiong mercilessly ravaged this ignorant young man. However, the changes in the venue clearly disappointed him. In the past, Huaxiong, who used to hate the heavens and the earth, not only did not show absolute suppression in power, but also gasped for breath after a few rounds. I have seen the skill of being clumsy and skillful multiple times, but after several failed attempts to seize the gun, I appear disheveled and have faintly fallen into a disadvantage. How could this be possible? Hu Zhen was greatly surprised in his heart. As a Lord of Liangzhou, although he rarely interacted with people in the past, he thought to himself that his eyesight was not weak. He didn't expect to take a glance today. This young man from the Chu family is clearly a dragon crossing the river. Okay, you Chu family. You've been scheming for a long time, and you've come across a desperate situation, haven't you? But how could you never have imagined that Dong Gong sent more than one Huaxiong? After all, it's not a small matter, so how could there be no defense? Just one ranger wants to ruin Dong Gong's situation. It's just a pipe dream. Glancing at the destined struggle that had already ended, Hu Zhen brushed away. This joking competition ended with Chu Zhan achieving a complete victory. The young tiger of the Chu family originally used the joke of bullying the small, but unexpectedly became famous again due to Huaxiong's intervention. Throughout the entire campsite, Chu Zhan's name was repeatedly mentioned, as if in an instant, he had separated from his identity as a ranger and become a hot and influential figure. It was precisely because of the sudden fame of Chu Zhan that the martial arts competition, which had already opened, was suddenly filled with a bit of excitement through word of mouth among the ignorant crowd. Watching Huaxiong leave in anger, Chu Zhan was still calculating the harvest of this fierce competition. Fengyun Jihui, white defeating historical figures, 2/3, madman, when facing enemies, the lowest attribute is higher than the opponent's highest attribute, all attributes +5, otherwise 0.5, compared to the harvest of cow gold, it is somewhat overshadowed. However, this grand event in Liangzhou has begun to move towards some unknown direction under the waves of the Chu exhibition. Perhaps there are more opportunities for the Chu exhibition to meet other charming figures who will appear on the stage of the Three Kingdoms in the future. Moreover, with numerous entries, Chu Zhan has steadily entered the ranks of third-rate generals, and there is still a long way to go before the 184 Yellow Turban Uprising. An infinitely beautiful future is waving to Chu Zhan. While Chu Zhan was imagining the future in the camp, Li Gui and Guosi sat together with unwavering expressions, discussing the variables of this conference. At this time, the two of them had just passed their 30s. Over a decade ago, they had followed Dong Zhuo to repeatedly quell the Chang rebellion. With their excellent skills and abilities, they had gradually become representatives of Dong Zhuo's will. And Dong Zhuo, for them, is the Supreme Lord. Looking at Huaxiong under the tent with a shy and angry expression on his face, the two of them did not make any accusations. Over the years, their military career has already honed their willpower and endurance. Today's situation can only be considered a small setback. However, what has been damaged is Dong Bingzhou's face. Dong Zhuo may not care, they cannot. Anyway, the Chu family has never been on their side, so what price does a collateral member of the Chu family have to pay to calm this wave? Li Zhan looked at Huaxiong and whispered, "Don't be a daughter. Look for Chu Zhan from Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, who has always been aggressive and doesn't know how to fight. If you make a mistake, it won't harm you." Guosi saw that Li Xian had calmed his own people and quickly said, "The Chu family has always had a good relationship with Beigong Boyu. When they were under the account of the Grand Minister of Agriculture, Zhang Huan, they had always been at odds with us. This may be the plan of Beigong Boyu." Li Ting snorted coldly, "What about Beigong Boyu? If he dares to sabotage Dong Gong's arrangement, then he'll take his life to pay for it." Guosi was surprised in her heart that Li Gui had similar thoughts to him in the past, so why was there some nonsense at this moment? If you want to kill Chu Zhan in Liangzhou, you must not be blatant, and the young tiger's skills are difficult for ordinary people to approach, and there are several attendants, which makes it quite tricky. If it weren't for that, he would have already arranged for military personnel to arrange for it. Jianghu people do not wear armor, and a few well-armed soldiers can easily take their lives, but unfortunately, they are burdened by declaration and cannot be dispatched. It seemed to have noticed Guosi's confusion, and Li Yan smiled and said, "Do you know that the most famous ranger in Luoyang is a Du, Guosi? Nature is to wish Olympics and justice." Looking at Guosi, who was completely confused, Li Xian no longer kept his eyes open. Zhu Gongdao has a good friend named Yang Ti, a ghost-faced person from Liangzhou. In his early years, he wandered around the world, but now he is in this venue. This person is greedy for money and lust, driven by profit. Just let him act during the conference. If he succeeds, he will only use some wealth. If he fails, he will only be a wandering hero's life. I see. How skilled is this person? Li Yan smiled and said, "You can rest assured. It is rumored that this person is not someone easy to argue with. Wang Yu. Wang Yu, a native of Yenshan in eastern Liaoning, held the position of General Huban. Due to his expertise in swordsmanship, he had a high reputation in the capital. Guo patted his palm and said, "Great goodness." Chapter 7. Yang Ti. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 8. Beginning of the conference. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 9. Defeating Russia and Burning Guns. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, in the enclosure where Chu Zhan is located. The other Chang people quickly moved away when they saw the two of them burning a spear. Chu Zhan knew that someone was operating in the dark, but he wasn't angry. Anyway, he was an opponent he could handle. The two of them walked forward, and one of them, a short man with a brown-black skin and purple cheeks, clenched his fists as a gesture. This person is exactly Ruo. Jincheng young tiger, please. Chu Zhan was about to reciprocate, but he didn't pay any attention and quickly grabbed it with a knife. This Ruo and Xiaoga are the default names of warriors inherited within the various Chang tribes, not personal names. Not only does it represent supreme glory, but it also signifies social status. It is said that only warriors who have truly conquered all the Chang people can combine the two titles into one, becoming the Ruo Xiaoga. The use of titles by the old Chang king Modo clearly put pressure on Russia. He was already an ordinary herdsman, relying solely on his strength and hard work to protect the title that could be taken away by later generations. He was accustomed to all the changes brought by glory, and he did not want to go back to live a precarious life as a herdsman. As for the glory of the martial arts competition, the glory of a warrior, what does that have to do with me as a herdsman? Who wants to take away my life? I want his life. Ignoring whether his behavior would be looked down upon by others, he just wanted to quickly capture this person in order to maintain his position. Unfortunately, Chu Zhan only has a slight difference in attributes compared to his strength, and other aspects are completely beyond it. Last night, I was just shown a warning by Yang Ti, and I was already on guard. After 3 to 5 rounds, why didn't Russia just fail to quickly cut through the chaos and take it down? Instead, she exerted too much force and was quite tired. Upon seeing this, my heart turned horizontal, and evil grew towards the edge of my gallbladder. When pretending to bow, I believe. The word lose remained silent, quietly using the meteor hammer hidden in his arms. Clear edges and sharp edges, copper-headed beef tendon. It looks like a toy, but when thrown, the sound of breaking through the air is full of killing intent. Chu Zhan saw that the other party was ready to give up, so he instinctively opened the system to see if there was any reward. After all, although the other party's attributes were mediocre, they ultimately entered the rating of a third-rate warrior. I am still puzzled that the system is too stingy and has not expressed anything. In Yu Guangli, the narrowed eyes of the other party immediately aroused Chu Zhan's vigilance. Still coming. I thought that the Chang people, as a nomadic ethnic group, should value more metaphysical things such as glory and dignity. Unexpectedly, a mere Russian has repeatedly resorted to black-handed tactics. How fat to death. It's just a martial arts competition. What deep hatred do you and I have? However, labor and capital are not made of clay. A despicable person. Chu Zhan let out a loud shout, and his years of fighting experience made him quickly respond. Combining waist and horse. The body instinctively responded, wielding a silver frost gun like an arm and fingers. Die for me. Anger quickly took over Chu Zhan's rationality and no longer considered that this was the territory of the Chang people. Under full exertion, Ruo retreated step by step, leaving only a few remaining stamina to support himself, and he was about to lose his life. Leave people under the gun. The burning spear on the side, wrapped in linen, was originally secretly observing from the side. Although I couldn't stand Russia's tactics, I didn't speak up at first to stop it, thinking that if I failed, my title would not be guaranteed. And now, seeing that the fellow tribal warriors were about to end, he could no longer hold back and quickly jumped out to stop them. Watching the enraged Chu Zhan, Burning Gu shouted loudly to stay, while secretly complaining in his heart. In a military confrontation, one's strength is always equal to one's strength. Dueling with others often involves putting in all your effort. This young tiger from Jincheng, even though it has already played several rounds with Rua, is still full of energy, which is simply unheard of. A Han is like a 5 who, well deserved. 1 on 2, and several rounds in a row. Chu Zhan saw that he couldn't kill him, so he calmed down and glared fiercely. Since we cannot seize the opportunity to kill him, we can only make further plans. Why, are you the first Chang people to establish themselves in Beatty County with such goods? I have no face at all. Russia's already purple-red face, whether it was due to shame or surging blood, appeared particularly dazzling in the sunlight. Seeing that he had done a bad job and had just escaped death, he casually bowed and retreated in despair. Now in the venue, only the burning of knives and the exhibition of yeast are left. With the departure of Rua, the dilemma of Roe has expired, and the attribute bonus is no longer present. For a moment, Chu Zhan felt his whole body sour and soft, as if his hands and feet were not at ease. Struggling with discomfort, he quickly tilted his gaze and threatened to burn Gu. Why, do you still want to ask me for some advice? Xiao Gu was already smooth, and just now he took advantage of the chaos to fight. He thought to himself that he was not a match, but the thought of giving up and losing his title left him in a dilemma. What's the point of fighting without fighting, retreating without retreating? Xiao Gu was stunned by the sound in his ear, and he sighed leisurely as he looked at the revered Chang people around the enclosure. It's okay, it's okay. I'll just give up and let it go. Then he left with a bitter smile. After looking at the respectful attitude of the Chang people around and confirming that there were no Yao moths. Chu Zhan open system, climbing for Yi, white, make your enemies surrender, 3/3, Feng Yun Jihui, white, defeating historical figures, 3/3, achieve *2 white achievements. Zhaozuiyuan.com looking at the 2 new attribute points added to the system, mosquito legs are also flesh, aren't they? Besides, my current self is not invincible in the world, and these 2 attributes are very fragrant. Xiaoga Purple obtained limited title, Xiaoga, 0/1, okay, this new achievement triggered is quite good, but I don't know how many attributes to reward for the purple achievement. However, this seems to be exactly the title of the Chang ethnic group. Chu Zhan currently has no idea, but it is certain that by asking these admiring Chang people around him, he may gain some insights. Anyway, today's competition has already ended. Ignoring the exhaustion of her body, Chu Zhan walked straight towards the onlookers of the Chang people. What? and Xiaoga are 2 fixed names. Each tribe can be granted their own warriors. Only warriors recognized by all the leaders of the Chang people can use the name Xiaoga. Only including the Western Chang, which is the Chang ethnic group in Liangzhou. Okay, it turned out to be a big project. Chu Zhan was relieved in a moment. Working for half a day is a long-term goal that requires hard work. Let's talk about the Chang ethnic group in Liangzhou. Just the big tribes include the Wei Chang, Dingling Chang, Chieftain Chang, Qilian Chang, Daoyuo Chang, Xianling Chang, Zhong Chang, and so on. There are countless other small tribes with a population of over 100. If we want these fully recognized warriors, perhaps only Ma Chao's, divine heavenly general, can match them. Wait, Ma Chao. Ma Chao must be a child now, right? Just don't know where it is in Liangzhou. Is it possible to beat up the little boy again? Chapter 10. The Rebellion of the First Zero. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, did you hear that Roa he lost to the young tiger of Jincheng in the game of Burning Gog? The king of Chang was very dissatisfied and wanted to select a new candidate. The news of the defeat of Ruo and Xiaoge spread rapidly throughout the Xianling Chang region. This not only means that the first 0 warriors were defeated by Han Chinese rangers, but also represents that the new generation of Ruo and Xiaoge have the opportunity to run again at any time. And shouldn't the current martial arts competition be the best opportunity? The news spread that the Chang warriors in the entire camp were eager to fight, even the guards of Modo couldn't wait. No matter what era, the opportunity for class transition is always incredibly exciting. You have to think carefully. Yang Ti lay in the tent where she was temporarily staying, drinking on her own, as if she couldn't see the person with a face full of anger in front of her. Since he met that kid yesterday, perhaps it was a chance empathy between rangers. It couldn't be said that it was a moment of weakness or disgust towards the powerful. In short, he refused the plan to kill a half-big kid. He already knew that doing so would inevitably be threatened by this group of people, especially today during the day when that kid broke through the arrangement of the Xianling Chang. It was really interesting. Glancing at the opponent's undisguised military armor, Yang Ti looked displeased. Get out of here. The first wandering hero in Liangzhou, who can sit and debate swordsmanship with General Huban, is nothing different from a butcher in the eyes of these people. Throwing out the other party's deposit, he casually turned around, revealing his back as if he was unprepared. Give you a chance, dare you take action? Humph! After a moment of silence behind me, I finally let out a cold groan and left. Looking at the dim moonlight outside the tent, Yang Ti slowly stood up. Wine bags and rice bags only know how to drive people with momentum. Unfortunately, I can't escape the current situation in this world. If I refuse some people, I will inevitably agree to others. Is it true that I will become an independent husband who isolates myself from the world? Chu family child, if it were you, what would you do? After pursing the wine from the corner of his mouth, Yang Ti picked up his sword again. Thank you to that kid for causing a lot of trouble. I was worried about not having many opportunities, and now the guards of the entire camp are all restless and lax in defense. Perhaps this is what we call one drink, one peck, and retribution from heaven. Looking deep into the camp, Yang Ti took a full sip and threw down the wine jug. Chang King. What kind of bullshit Chang King? Even barbarians deserve to be called kings. Some people are alive, but they have already died. After a thrilling night last night, Chu Zhan couldn't fall asleep for a long time tonight. Not long after, in the camp of the Chang people, shouts, hooves of horses, accompanied by the night breeze of Liangzhou, rolled in. After all, it is within the territory of the Chang people. Chu Zhan immediately dispatched his followers to inquire about the news. What happened? The servant looked frightened and answered with trembling fear, King Chang. Someone has assassinated King Chang. Ah! Yang Ti. It must be him. Last night's experience surfaced before my eyes, and Chu Zhan instinctively reflected the name of that person. Undoubtedly earning the title of Ghost Face Yang Ti, he is indeed the first ranger in Liangzhou. In the camp of the Chang people, the difficulty of defeating enemy generals from it is not inferior to that of 1,000 armies. But under such numerous obstacles, a huge wave was unexpectedly stirred up. Is the king of Chang still alive? Chu Zhan immediately discovered Huaxiong and asked the top priority of the entire question. But how could such a question be overheard by an ordinary servant? Still alive. A sound came from outside the tent, and a thin figure caught the eye. Chu Zhan's several attendants dared not stop, and they followed behind the person with great frustration. Through the system, Chu Zhan obtained information at the first time. Name: Qing Gongying, second-class strategist, camp. Currently unavailable. Attributes: Strength 65, Constitution 62+1, Spirit 86, Agility 58+1, Avoidance. Enemy strategist strategy effectiveness 0.5%, Self-insight and strategic ability +20%, Protection. When the strategy takes effect, all of our agility +1 and physical fitness +1, Qing Gongying, with the compound surname Qinggong and a single English name, is a person from Jincheng. Chu Zhan thought to himself that in history, this person followed Han Sui as his confidant. After Han Sui was defeated by Cao Cao in Weinan, he retreated from Huayin to Huaxiong, and his troops scattered, only Qing Gongying followed. Until the death of Han Sui, Qing Gongying finally defected to Cao Cao and was appointed as a vassal. He was a down-to-earth historical figure with both achievements and practical actions. Han Sui, at this time, was considered a social celebrity in Jincheng, on par with Bianzhang. Last year, Han Sui posthumously sent the body of his old boss Yin Hua to Xiaqiu, and published a stone to commemorate his achievements, thus becoming famous in Liangzhou. It hasn't been long since he returned to Jincheng, but in the past, Han Sui Bianzhang and the Chu family had many private contacts. In the midst of the chaos, the Chu family vaguely led by these two people, so most people know this trusted confidant of the adults. However, this person usually keeps in touch with the head of the family, and I don't know what the purpose is for tonight. Qing Gongying, who was 7 feet tall, was not tall, but with sparkling eyes and a smile, said, "I am Qing Gongying. I believe this young hero must be the young tiger of the Chu family, the Chu Zhan brothers." Chu Zhan knew that this person had no friendship with him, and his social status was vastly different from himself. It was not easy for him to come tonight amidst such turmoil and praise his stinky feet. So he was secretly vigilant in his heart, pretending to respond happily. Zhaohuiyuan.com, it turned out to be Lord Qing, who has been admired for a long time. I don't know what instructions I have. Seemingly sensing Chu Zhan's insincere words, Qing Gongying touched his short mustache on his lips, as if feeling embarrassed. After pondering for a moment, he suddenly said, "Do you know why this martial arts competition is so prosperous?" Chu Zhan thought to himself, "You big shots have a clear understanding of this matter. It must be something Dong Zhuo is up to. Now that I am a first-class ranger and barely separated from the bottom of society, what channels can I have for news?" Although he harbored resentment in his heart, he still pretended to be ignorant and tentatively replied, "Perhaps it's related to Dong Bingzhou." Although Qing Gongying was young and had the appearance of a warrior like a bear and tiger, he had a lot of calculations and insight into the world. He was an introverted young man, who was more than one advantage over the Chu Xing he had encountered before. He dared not underestimate him and said seriously, "The court is quite uneasy about Liangzhou. Due to national policies, the governors are all from other provinces. Now that Duke Duan has passed away and Duke Zhang has retired, Liangzhou urgently needs stability." Dong Zhuo raised his reputation in Liangzhou, spread his faith and righteousness widely, connected the Chang and Hu tribes, and wielded military armor. He was originally the best candidate to intimidate Liangzhou, but he was ambitious. If he succeeded, it would not be the blessing of the court or Liangzhou. Watching Qing Gongying talk confidently, Chu Zhan couldn't bear to interrupt. But fundamentally, with Dong Zhuo's strength, if we don't choose Dong Zhuo, should we choose Han Sui? Politics is the art of compromise, but its essence requires strength to support it. How many troops do you have at this time, Han Sui? And what is the direct and inevitable relationship between this and the current martial arts competition? What is the inevitable relationship between winning the championship and marrying Dong Zhuo's daughter and stabilizing the border? Isn't the future tyranny of Dong Zhuo also based on his deployment of troops to Luoyang and the abolition of the emperor?